Bruins Beat is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
And welcome into the Bruins Beat, presented by Prize Picks. Go use that promo code CLNS. Get $50 back when you play just $5. And we're presented by Game Time. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $20 off that first purchase. Terms apply. I am Evan Marinofsky. That is Conor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. It's a fun week. I like the week of Thanksgiving. It's, the holidays are here. Not quite ready for Christmas music or anything like that, but I like...
Speak for yourself, pal.
You like the Christmas music this early?
Oh, dude, I'd be playing the Ronettes if I could right now. If you just didn't want to get DMCA'd, so...
Yeah.
Don't want that Phil Spector estate coming after us, so...
I can't put up with that. My mom starts listening to Christmas music on the radio in early November. I respect that, but it's not quite...
Magic 106.7, dude. They
That's
stopped
right.
playing it like November 1st.
When I was little, it was Oldies 103.3 that always had the Christmas music, and I will never forget the day my mom brought the radio into the kitchen. Sounds like the 1920s. Like, oh, we gathered around the radio and we listened to the old ball game.
The potato famine was done.
It was the end of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And she plays the radio. She goes, oh, listen to this. And we loved Dominic the Donkey. Every day at 5 p.m. they would play Dominic the Donkey, so that this was pre-iTunes and all that. So you look forward to that. And the host shouted out me and my sister. My mom called in the day before and had them shout us out. So it was like the coolest thing ever. So that's like my lasting Christmas music memory. That's when you know you made moment. Yeah, that was when I was like, I want to do that. What a decision that was.
And look where we are now, Evan.
Where we are now. Wow, we've made it.
Shout out Dominic the Donkey.
Yes.
Fan banner captain.
That people always bitch that Bubba O'Reilly, I think, is still the intro to this podcast on the audio side of things. So maybe we got to change to Dominic the Donkey. Maybe we gotta switch that up. Yeah, exactly. Bruins 2-0 under Joe Sacco. They get a win against Detroit on Saturday. What are your thoughts on the new look Bruins under Joe Sacco?
I mean, listen, it's better than 2 losses, right? It's not pretty, right? But
people are saying.
I think when you look at what this team needs to do to be successful, I think Joe Sacco made the right call in terms of really breaking things down, keeping things really simple. And I think playing to this team's strengths, and that's, not getting outworked in board battles, defending the front of the net. I think you're seeing the special teams rebound quite a bit, especially the PK, which I think this year they were already a little bit more aggressive in terms of pressuring puck carriers. But I think you've really noticed it the last couple of games where they've been really forcing turnovers, getting guys up high. I think they're 14 for 14, I want to say, in their last 5 games on the PK. So that's been encouraging. And then, I just think that they're playing to, I think, what their strengths need to be. And listen, it's not a perfect product. There's still long stretches of these games where, you better get a little bit more breathing room here, like to convert on some of these chances. You have guys that still need to pull on the rope. You need more from David Pastrnak, obviously. But for what Joe Sacco is doing in terms of getting the basic template to get this team trending in the right direction, it's not flashy, but if you don't get outworked, if you win your board battles, you support pucks, defend the front of the net. Again, the product itself may not be riveting, but you're going to be in a lot more games. You're not going to be in games where it gets away from you. How many times do we see this team tread water and then someone throws an anchor at them and they give up 3 goals in the second to Dallas or something like that? You haven't seen the games get away from them. There hasn't been a lot of odd man rushes, not a lot of high danger looks generated by, again, a lighter schedule, so that plays into it. But for what they've done right now, without ripping up the playbook, just getting back to basics, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it's more of what, when you look at the personnel and the roster that Sweeney assembled, this is kind of how you have to play, as opposed to more of the Montgomery quality over quantity, long stretch passes, get up and going. I think you had to augment some of that. And I think you're seeing the results, even if they aren't pretty. You haven't gotten that nice 4-1 game yet, right? Every game has either been a 5-3 win or 1-0. You need a nice 4-1 win at some point, but it's a step in the right direction.
Wasn't it after they fired Claude, when Cassidy took over, they beat the Canadians 3-0 that night or something, or a couple days later? That was sort of a satisfying, team-changing win. I agree with you. I think it comes down to what Joe Sacco talked about in his introductory presser with just compete, work ethic, winning your battles, hustle, like things like that. And I know it sounds cliche, it sounds kind of dumb, but that stuff matters, and it was what was lacking in their first 20 games. Defensively, I mean, just layers, I think, has been the biggest thing. You see that the center supporting a lot more. You see guys staying in their area, their zone, a lot more than they were before. You don't have as many open guys in front of the net. You don't have as many guys kind of out in no man's land. And I think that prevents a ton of goals. That prevents a ton of scoring chances that before were at least happening and oftentimes going in. And I think, we talked about this after the Utah game. They kept it simple, especially when defending a lead late, and this isn't exciting hockey. The average fan's not going to be like, oh, I love that off the glass and out. That's perfect. That's just what I want. But that's how you win, especially when those passes aren't connecting, when the team's struggling a little bit. Sometimes you just have to chip it off the glass. Sometimes you have to make the easy pass and all that stuff. And I think they got away from that. They were trying to get way too cute on some of their breakouts, trying to get too creative. And again, we love creative hockey. You want guys to be creative. You want guys to make smart, good passes, all that stuff. But sometimes you just need to chip it out. And you need to get it out. And that was the same against Detroit on Saturday, defending the lead late. It was simple hockey. It wasn't anything, they clearly were not trying to go down and score a 5-on-5 goal, which is something that they need to improve on overall. 5-on-5 offense does need to improve. That still has not happened yet. It has only been 2 games. But just keeping it simple. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. It's the time-old moniker, and I think they're using it right now, especially in the D zone, which I think that was the one thing, Connor, that was so mind-numbing with this team through 20 games. Like, okay, the offense isn't working. Okay, you can that can generate itself. You'll find it. Maybe score on the power play every now and again, although that also stunk. But it was the defensive lapses. It was the lack of effort going back on pucks and winning battles that mystified me. And so I think that's been a nice step in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's something that Joe Sacco mentioned during his first press conference, right? Is like, listen, we'll figure out the offense. Like, guys are shooting 4%. We have guys that are discombobulated right now. Like, those things, ideally, right, will sort itself out over time. David Pasternak's not going to be on a 31-goal pace, at least you hope not. But for right now, in terms of riding the ship and getting this team playing, gaining some traction and playing to their strengths. Yeah, it's what Sacco mentioned. Like, the thing we can control right now isn't, maybe these shooting percentages that have regressed all across the board, but we can get back to defending our net, taking pride in that, clearing pucks, knowing when to fight another day as opposed to trying one of those risky stretch passes or getting too cute in the neutral zone or anything like that. And I think that reset has helped a lot of guys maybe stabilize their games, right? Like, and again, it's 2 games against 2 kind of crappy teams, and they're not flashy wins by any means. But in terms of, I think, just listen, this whole year has been not a lot of silver linings or a lot of hoping for something to progress out of these things. I think getting back to that simple formula for right now, at least, can help maybe guys like Elias Lindholm find their footing. I think a guy like Nikita Zadorov, who maybe was in that kind of in between, and we've talked about this before. This is a guy that takes some time to adjust to new systems, which already, you're going to Montgomery system there. And he's also this guy that has the reputation as this really physical force while also being a pretty mobile, almost said mobile quarterback, mobile defenseman.
He's like Drake May back there.
Yes. But he does have, a little bit more mobility than people probably take or expect from a guy that is 6'5". So was he kind of caught in between in terms of, the way Montgomery wants to play while being physical, and that's why he was freelancing a little bit, being out of position, whereas I think the last couple of games he's been solid. He's not blowing people up. He's not going end to end, but he's defending the net front. He's out there with Carlo on the PK now that Hampus Lindholm's out, and he's just playing simple, smart hockey. And like, if you get one good hit a game while playing simple, smart hockey, I think Bruins fans would love that. Like, he lit up Clayton Keller like a minute into the game on Thursday.
I was just going to say, yep.
You notice that, and then the rest was him taking care of business in front of the net. And that's where those guys come in handy when you get to the playoffs or, tougher matchups when you have a 6'6" guy that can clear you out of grade A ice. So I think maybe where Sacco comes in and has that kind of mindset of really simplifying things and getting back to basics, maybe will help some of these guys find their footing. And again, much like the offense, if all of a sudden a few months into the year, guys are feeling more confident, the wins are piling up, and then you have more of that freedom or that confidence, which I think is severely lacking across this team, is just confidence with the puck, decision-making, things like that. Then you hopefully that builds as well. But for right now, I think it's the right mindset for Sacco in terms of defend the front of the net. Let's win a couple of games 2-1, get rolling here. And if you play that style of hockey, it may not be exciting, may not be riveting end-to-end hockey, but it means you're going to be in a lot of games. And when you're in these kind of games, a good chance you're going to at least get a point, or you're going to come out on the right side of some of these matchups.
And it doesn't matter how they get back on track. They just need to get back on track. Is it going to be, these high-flying, exciting 2003 Red Sox kind of games? I'm saying that because I was watching that documentary again last night. No, it's not going to be that. But if it's just 2-1, 3-2 wins, like you're just sneaking past, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Again, I know it's sacrilege to compare any team to the 2011 Bruins, but that team is revered. And damn, they were fun and they were really physical. They weren't like a riveting offensive juggernaut. They couldn't score on the fucking power play. Claude Julien had a pretty reserved system and it worked and it played to their strengths. They were opportunistic. They landed punches when they could. They could counterpunch. And they were a team built on goaltending, defense, and physicality. Maybe it's not riveting, but if you're a Bruins fan and your team's playing into May and they're pummeling teams and taking care of business, defending their goalie and buying in, blocking shots, I think Bruins fans will take that. It means you're playing well and you're going into the spring.
Yeah, and I also
it's not saying this is the 2011 Bruins.
No,
but I think in terms of perspective, you're not going to have every team like the 2022 gangbuster team that they had out there, the way they could play. It's not going to happen.
But I also, again, if that's what this roster lends itself to, that's the roster that's been built. It's big, it's physical, it's not fast, it's not skilled. So completely lean into that. Be that identity, be that team. Don't be the quality over quantity shots. Rip everything at the net. And I think that's sort of where you're seeing them headed. You want to head somewhere great? Our friends over at Prize Picks, because it is Prize Picks time. It's the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can even double your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Again, the Bruins are kind of on the up and up here, Connor. They're coming back. Offense isn't high flying, but you want to do time on ice for Charlie McAvoy more than the projected number they give you. I'd say do it. Charlie McAvoy is an important part of this team. Feel like David Pastrnak's about to get back on track with some points. Maybe you take over 0.5 points for him in any given game. They are playing the Canucks on Tuesday night, so that would be an awesome chance to do this. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus because it's guaranteed. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Run your game. Someone that I think Bruins fans would love to pick more for goals on Prize Picks would be Chris Kreider. I loved this rumor. This was like the perfect Monday in November rumor. So Elliot Friedman tweeted out on Monday morning. In the aftermath of their 6-2 loss in Edmonton on Saturday, the Rangers have made it very clear they're interested in making moves and shaking up their roster. Among the names indicated are Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba, although other options will be considered. So if Elliot's tweeting out the names, those guys are completely on the trading block. We knew that about Trouba. No real interest from the Bruins there, I don't think. I don't think you need that.
No.
It's not really a route you're trying to go down. But Chris Kreider, Boxford native, Phillips Andover star, true goal scorer, like freaking goal scorer. So couple of logistics on Chris Kreider here. 33 years old, $6.75 million annual cap hit for this year, next year, and the year after. So you get 3 more years of that. Are you in?
I mean, I just would have to think of how the money works and what the return is, right? Because that is the biggest issue there. Because in terms of what he provides, I know he doesn't have an assist on the year, but 9 goals in 19 games,
which is hilarious.
yeah,
9 goals.
Yeah, but the last couple of years, right? 39 goals, 36 goals, 52 goals, which I forgot about. About as sure of a bet as you can get in terms of being a 25 goal guy. I think is maybe taken the mantle from Pavelski. Is the best net front kind of screen tip guy, like right there. Like he's a guy that you put him down there, he's going to generate plays at 5-on-5 and on the power play. And again, you look at the way this Bruins team is built, or how you want them probably to play in terms of shot volume, getting every puck on net, knocking home rebounds, tipping pucks, getting shots from the point. A guy like Chris Kreider is like the ultimate guy for that in terms of what he can provide. But again, how do you make the money work for, what do you say, it's 6.75? He's under contract for the next
3
2 years.
more years, yeah.
So, and again, like, he's 33. I could see him being a guy kind of like a Pavelski, where he could be a 30-goal guy for the next 3-4 years, like just the way he plays. And it's a pretty tried and true formula as to how he generates his offense. But yeah, the money, the picks, like, are you giving up a first-round pick for Chris Kreider?
So this is where I get into, like, no, I wouldn't. I would not. No, I wouldn't.
And I don't think the Rangers are going to give up that dude for a first.
But here's the thing. They're trying to win a cup too. Mm-hmm. Like, wouldn't you think they're going for a roster shakeup, I would assume, because they have a good young core, all that stuff. Like, they're going for a roster shakeup. You also need a roster shakeup, or at least you did a week ago. We'll see how this kind of continues. But, like, I was looking at the Bruins roster of who you would deal straight up for straight. Patrick Donnelly and I were actually, like, discussing this over Slack, like, all morning. Like, how would this work? How would we as the Bruins make this work? And initially it was like, all right, well, you're going to do a package with, like, Frederick and a prospect and, like, a second. It's like, maybe, but, like, the Rangers are still competing. That's the thing here. Like, the Rangers they still want a cup. And, like, again, selling high on Justin Brazeau, like, maybe. But to me, like, I would assume they would want someone on the roster that is legitimate and can make an impact. And I looked at there are 2 guys I look at who, and again, they have no trade protections and things like that. Pavel Zacha and Hampus Lindholm. And the tough part with both of those guys is Zacha's 27, so he's 6 years younger, and can play the middle, can play the wing, and is Pasternak's guy. So, like, you could make the money work with that. You'd have to do some other things too. But, like, he makes 4.75. So again, like, you're giving up a good cap hit, who's much younger. So that's not always the best order of operations. Hampus Lindholm is the other. I was looking, and I'm not saying I want to do this, by the way, but I'm saying, like, I think to do this with the Rangers, they're going to want a guy in return that can slot in and help them contend. I don't know what Lindholm has for trade protections. I know Zacha's is a 10-team list. Lindholm's 30. I think that's a little more palatable, even though he's been playing great up until his injury. So, like, that's a hard sell. But playoffs, he's been a little shaky over the last 3 years. You add in the fact that, like, you did go out and get Zadorov, so you do have him there. Although, again, he has not been great to start. You hope that Lowry can ascend into being a top 4 offensive guy. Lindholm is your most stable, steady force on that left side, but do you have enough on D? Are you happy enough with what Swayman and Korpisalo can be that you'd be okay taking a hit back there to make an upgrade up front? That's the question to me. I don't think this is like a Frederick and a first or anything like that. Like, I think this would be a roster for roster swap, I think.
Yeah, it'd either be a roster for roster involving a player like a Lindholm or Zacha plus, Lowry or something. You
think it would be that big for a 33-year-old scoring winger
who scored 52 goals 2 years ago?
Yeah, but I like Zacha and Zacha maybe, but like
for a team that also wants to win, for a team that wants to win the cup, yes. Like, again, like, it's not like they're in, like, cap jail with him right now. Like, no. You don't have to move him. I mean, listen, you'd much rather move fucking Trouba. They almost benched him.
Well, yeah, I mean, duh. Yeah, but Bruins don't need another guy taking a bunch of penalties back there.
But yeah, I mean, no, I think it's still going to be a pretty steep price for the guy, even if maybe he's had a bit of a down year this year. But again, you look at the track record of what I think he's a sure bet for like 30 goals wherever he goes. A guy that's playoff tested, has delivered in the past. Like, how many times do you watch Rangers games in April and May and Kreider's making something happen? And you have a hat trick against Carolina on the road.
I would also say,
I do think it would take quite a bit to get him beyond just making the money work.
yeah, I mean, but I also look at Hampus Lindholm and say, they need veteran presences that actually are good on the back end. He provides that. He's stable. He's steady. Like 2 years ago, he was third in the Norris. Like you can make that same argument with Chris Kreider. I think they had 50. The same year he had 52 goals. I think Lindholm was third in the Norris that year because I think it was 22-23 when that happened, or maybe it was the year before for Kreider. But nevertheless, like these are guys those are high impact players. I don't know what you think that they'd have to add more to Lindholm to sweeten that. Maybe I'm undervaluing Kreider, but I'm kind of surprised at that.
I mean, I think for Lindholm, there'd probably be like a second or something with that, but that'd probably be me. Yeah. I think especially what's going to happen though, Evan, is we know that if these rumors continue and like it's a legitimate that the Rangers are trying to move him, you're going to get like the Frederick and Dirty Markulov. And it's like, no. Again, like it's a interesting discussion because the Rangers are also a team that's trying to win right now. So that also means like, which is why like maybe it is more realistic that it's like Lindholm is the headliner guy that pushes you over the top now as opposed to Lohrei in the first or something like that. Or again, you also need to make the money work too. So you got to shed a contract or two just to make that money work.
Yeah, I mean Lindholm's money is comparable, so that would be like, you could make that work. But Sacco makes less. Yeah. If you did like a package that was headlined by Trent Frederick, if they somehow wanted a deal of assets, which I don't know why they would take on.
Listen, if they want Trent Frederick for Chris Kreider, then
goodbye. Easy. I think there are a lot of Bruins fans who'd be willing to make that drive to the airport. Well, if you want to go watch hockey, you want to go watch the Bruins, you want to go watch Chris Kreider and the Rangers, maybe someday the Bruins, you got to go check out our friends at Game Time. Because as we know, Connor, there's nothing like watching an NBA or an NHL game live. The energy in the building, the sounds on the ice or the court, the memories you make with family, friends, and other fans, it's unmatched. And the coolest part is when strangers sitting around you become your best friends, or, Connor, as you said, become your biggest enemies. You can make these memories with Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets, and curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. When I use Game Time, I also love the flash deals, which help me get discounted prices on great seats. Plus, who doesn't love seat views? Gives me, I can imagine myself in the seats. I can sit there and go, and look around, make sure everything looks good.
There's not a pole in your face.
Yeah, like Fenway, especially, like, I don't think they always have obstructed view on that. So Game Time hooks you up with that. And again, you get the panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Connor, what time is it?
Game time.
It's game time. It's also conspiracy theory time. And this is
sure.
Was the moon landing fake, Connor?
Yes.
Was the moon landing fake? It was JFK assassination. What was filmed
at that? It was filmed at the Pirates Cove Golf Course in Hyannis, Massachusetts.
It did. They filmed it in Pirates Cove. I was on the What's Bruin podcast with Chris Nosek and Dom Tiano on Sunday night, and I joined midway through the show, and they do it live, like Bill O'Reilly. We do it live. Fuck it. We do it live. And I went on, and they immediately said, we're going to throw some conspiracy theories at you. And I said, I love this. The regular ass intros are like, Evan, what do you think about this week? Like, I want you to throw the craziest stuff at me. And one of the theories they had,
like, do you like fluoride in your water? Like, no, I don't want to do this.
Raw milk? Are we going to get into raw milk? So I think it was Dom brought up, there's a theory going around that Jim Montgomery purposefully tanked this job so he could get the St. Louis gig. And I said, well, obviously, thumbs up. Did you do that?
I did, yeah. I think if you do that, fireworks pop out too. If you do like a certain like,
I didn't get the fireworks. That's great. People who are watching live on video can see. There we go. Good stuff. Is that what happens? The 2
I
thumbs
think
up?
so. I guess only for me. I guess I
happen to
have
me.
special privileges.
Whatever. Anywho, the theory, and it wasn't his theory, but the theory that he saw was that Jim. Oh wow, I don't get that.
Oh wow,
I don't get that. That's a shame. Connor was putting
Rough.
thumbs down for people who were watching. You got to watch on YouTube too, because you
Yes.
get the great effects of us and me sniffling the entire time.
Mhm.
So Montgomery, Dom's theory that he saw was that Montgomery tanked this job to be the Blues head coach, which again, there's no way that's true. However, you and I both watched that Jim Montgomery opening press conference on Monday. He looked happy. He looked real happy to be home. Teary, emotional. Good for him. First of all, good for him.
Yes.
Happy for him. That's number one. Happy that he, landed on his feet. No doubt about that. Not a surprise either. But like the idea that he wanted to be in St. Louis all along, like, is that the craziest idea?
I mean, it's very interesting, right? When you look at like what Elliot Friedman mentioned, I think on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, about how he might have had differing opinions on like the long-term vision of the team, right? Like there was that.
Oh, he's just like the fans.
Yeah.
It's just like the fans.
Just like me for real. Ty Anderson on both Poke the Bear and on the Hockey Show on 98.5 The Sports Hub mentioned the Bruins had made multiple offers to him that were rejected and they weren't particularly close. So, yeah, I think when you look how Montgomery wants to play, maybe that was also the thing where he looks at the shift in terms of being quality over quantity into more shot volume, grimy kind of simplified hockey, more physicality, a little bit slower, thinking like, that's not really how I want to play, right? Or that's not really how I want to coach this team. You add in that the fact that like the Blues hired Bannister like 3 days after the Bruins advanced past Toronto, and feels like they were maybe waiting for Montgomery to maybe hit the free agent market if they don't win that Game 7 against Toronto. Yeah.
Praying on it.
Does. You can see why there's like, it's not like this. We're not doing a Treadstone Born Identity conspiracy theory here, but you can kind of put the pieces together and be like, yeah, I think the Blues were always really interested in them. So, I mean, that's why you're not giving Bannister any semblance of a chance with honestly a pretty flawed roster. Like I'm not looking at their roster and being like, it's all Drew Bannister's fault. Why did he sign Jordan Binnington, who sucked 2-3 years since that contract? Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, and it goes to show how cutthroat the industry is. I will also say one last thing on this. Like, Montgomery gave an interesting answer. One of the reporters asked him, when did Doug Armstrong reach out to you? Like, last week? How did that all come together? And Montgomery was like, well, I'm just focused on being a Blue, and like, let's just talk about that. And I think the realistic reason for that is I don't think he wants to blow up Drew Bannister with like, oh, the minute I got fired, Doug Armstrong called me and, it's all behind the scenes and we had to do it behind Drew's back and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think there is a chance that they've been talking. Like that's not informed and I, can't really do that. But like, would it shock you if they'd been in communication? No, it wouldn't. Like he was thought to be fired weeks ago, Montgomery. Yeah. So like
everyone talks.
Everyone talks and so I think that's another thing you have to consider. So this conspiracy theory, I don't know if it's that big of a conspiracy. Now, tanking the Bruins job to get St. Louis is like George Costanza levels of insanity. Like, I don't think that was the case, but like, if you told Montgomery a year ago, hey, you're going to be in St. Louis starting in November of 2024, I don't think he would have been too pissed off at that. So not a surprise. But again, good luck to him. Like, good luck to him. Clearly, that's the place he wants to be. And, there it is. So, yeah, Montgomery and St. Louis. Connor, what can the people look forward to from you over at the Globe and Boston.com?
Yeah, you can read my stuff over at the Globe and Boston.com. We got recaps, features, columns, breakdowns, all that good stuff. And you can follow me on Twitter at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky, Bruins Beat listeners. Have a great rest of your week.